Byron Donalds was on Larry Kudlow, and the reason why I looked him up was because I got a strange email from him about vote harvesting, that he's for it, and he's working for the Bank Your Vote with Ronna McDaniel and the Republican gang, and he is a big insider in Trump. Lots of information on this video. Sit down and watch the whole thing. It helps us out. If you get to the end, let us know in the comments that you made it to the end. And then I owe you just a huge thank you. And thanks for subscribing. Here we go.
Is that Joe Biden helped to facilitate a public corruption scandal with his son and his brother. And the Biden family made more than $20 million using his position of power against, frankly, the will and the prospects of the United States of America. It was for their own personal gain.
That's the biggest summary of the charges that are coming down the pipe for Biden. It's also coming down for Biden's family, which will include Hunter, Joe Biden's brother, Jim. But the biggest catch is going to be Joe Biden.
And so now they're trying to stall. Now they're trying to go back and read memos and do all this other stuff, when all of this started with the fact that Joe Biden lied to the American people when he said he had no idea what his son was doing. That was a flat out lie. I think this is really more of a stall tactic from the White House. But hey, you know what? If they want to start stalling now, they've been doing that for 4.5, 5 years. So this is really par for the course.
So stalling has been their main tactic. That is a normal way for them to get away with murder, really. Hunter Biden was going to go up for his tax evasion for not paying taxes. But then they ran the clock out. That is the Department of Justice, Merrick Garland, David Weiss. They were always working on the investigation. Really, they were running the clock out on the statute of limitations, so they couldn't go after Hunter.
Well, of course, that's an important point. I mean, after all, the Justice Department and the FBI have been doing everything they can to block, be an obstacle in any of the oversight investigations that you all have done. If you want to bring Hunter Biden up for the committee, if you want to bring up family members, who own these LLCs, who got all this money from China, Ukraine, God knows where, will it be blocked?
Okay, and then here's the cool technique, because we're about to catch Nancy Pelosi in an old video where they went after Trump's impeachment without taking a vote. They set a new precedent. The Republicans aren't going to have to do it. It's going to be open season on Biden. Now that they've got the impeachment inquiry formalized by Comer, McCarthy, now they can go out and interview other Biden family members, and it has a legal standing. It has more power instead of just being an empty accusation. That's why you have to check off all these boxes in order and go in order and do proper methods.
You can subpoena. You already have congressional authority to subpoena. Do you need additional authority is what I'm trying to figure out. Would a vote on a resolution, for example, be useful here, or strengthen here, or what? I'm just trying to parse through the options, because I think the next steps are, Mr. Chairman Comer's been on this show, and he said he wants to bring family members in front of the committee and so forth.
It's important to bring the family members in. They couldn't do it before, but they can now. And the family, remember, there was payouts to lots of Biden's daughters, granddaughters, nieces, nephews, his brother.
The reason why Speaker McCarthy started the impeachment inquiry is because now there is a legislative purpose to the request of information and potentially subpoenas issued to members of the Biden family.
Okay, he's talking about purpose, that there has to be a legislative purpose to keep it under their authority and allow it to happen.
And that purpose is that the House has now started an impeachment inquiry into President Biden. That is the purpose. So now that the Speaker has made that declaration, we now have actually broader authority to make these subpoenas if the White House and the president decide that they want to fight us in court on said subpoenas.
That legislative purpose is the big thing, is it's becoming formal. And that's what allows them to subpoena Biden's family members.
I will also add this. I personally think that if, with all the information that has come out and members of the House are now getting more into the details about what's been going on in these investigations, I think the votes are there if we have to go to the floor personally. But we have that authority now. And I will also add, Larry, Nancy Pelosi did the very same thing. She started an impeachment inquiry with no vote of Congress.
Okay, now this is cool. We did a deep dig back into C-SPAN's footage of Nancy Pelosi when she and Adam Schiff went after Trump and did not vote on it in the Congress, so then they don't have to stand by it. And they launched an impeachment inquiry about Trump. So therefore, now the Republicans, guess what? They don't have to vote on it to launch it against Biden. Here's Nancy Pelosi.
As the distinguished chairman said, there's no requirement that we have a vote. And so at this time, we will not be having a vote. And I'm very pleased with the thoughtfulness of our caucus in terms of being supportive of the path that we are on, in terms of fairness, in terms of seeking the truth, in terms of upholding the Constitution of the United States.
Oh, yeah, it's fairness, seeking the truth, and upholding the Constitution, and that cuts both ways. So I hope they'll extend the same courtesy against Biden. They're just upholding the Constitution. Right. Impeach him.
It was only that they actually went back and got a vote later down the line.
So that's another important point. Pelosi set an example. So, Byron Donalds, let me just make sure I understand. You're saying Speaker McCarthy's declaration does, in fact, give you additional authority. Is that that's your point?
What I'm saying is the start of an impeachment inquiry gives the House now a legislative purpose to subpoena additional documents or to require testimony of members of the Biden family under oath.
Legislative purpose, say it over and over again, legislative purpose, because Kudlow's going, are you saying that you got more authority? And you watch Byron Donalds, he knows legally he has to say it. The word, my friend, is legislative purpose. When it's legislative, it goes under their authority, and that's why they can do this.
As a member of the Oversight Committee, will family members be called in front of the committee? Will they be subpoenaed, in your view, Byron?
Byron's going to weigh in, but the answer is yes. That's why they did this. They have to get the other family members in, because it can't just be going after Biden, Joe Biden. You have to get all of the other family members, kids, wives, brothers, so that they roll and rat each other out and expose. They'll end up throwing Joe Biden and Hunter Biden under the bus.
I think it's very possible. I mean, listen, you have Hunter Biden's daughter who's on the second half of a text message where Hunter Biden said, at least you don't have to give 10% of your money or half of your salary to me because that's what I have to do for my dad.
That is Biden guilty as charged. Just impeach him already. Just that alone ties him to bribery. Joe Biden, the president.
That's a text message that Hunter Biden sent to his daughter. You have other members of the Biden family who have gotten cashier's checks. They have gotten wire transfers, and they have nothing to do at all with any of the companies that were set up by Hunter Biden, except for the fact that they're members of the Biden family.
Remember, they have never made a product to get paid $20 million for. So there's no exchange of products and goods. The product and the good is access to Joe Biden, the president, for bribery purposes. So it is access to his influence. There is no product exchange. You won't find a giant truckload of lumber going that they purchased from the Biden family. Every member of the Biden family got checks cut to them, and they did nothing for it but be a Biden.
And then the third piece overall is, how have they actually been using the money that was filtered through Hunter Biden to benefit the Biden family? That money didn't go into projects. It wasn't going into real estate projects or something like that. That money was spent. I think a key question for a lot of those family members is, how was it spent? How was it transmitted? What did you get out of it?
Oh, it was spent on riches like Hunter's hookers and beach homes, hot rods, cars. It was just blown. This family does not invest anything. They're not fiscally responsible. They're not fiscally, business-wise, creative or innovative. They don't make anything. They're on the grift. This is a giant grift. And it's going to look bad on paper.
Can you get the FBI to get something about these audio tapes between the head of Burisma and Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. I mean, it seems to me that is a very important piece of evidence. It has come up.
Kudlow's talking about a piece, the 17 phone calls. Chuck Grassley said, we did a video on this months ago. Chuck Grassley said they had 17 phone calls. Now, he hadn't heard it. It was a witness from Ukraine that said they have it to use against Biden if he ever turns on them. So they're afraid to release these 17 tapes. But Chuck Grassley said they have tapes that two of which include Joe Biden himself speaking to Ukraine that basically indicts himself and makes him guilty of corruption. So Kudlow is saying, when are those tapes going to show up? And Byron Donalds is going to say, like, look, they don't have the tapes. They've only heard about them. I believe the tapes will get flushed out.
It has been alleged. Of course, the FBI stonewalled. I did ask Chairman Comer about it. He said there's no new news on that. Seems to me, Byron, these audio tapes would tie you directly to the then Vice President Biden in a bribery scandal.
This was meant to keep Joe Biden in check. This is to keep Joe Biden compliant with the screw jobs that he agreed to.
I got to agree with my chairman here. I don't think there's any new news on this because it's not clear if the FBI has possession of those recordings. The confidential human source reported to the FBI that the recordings existed. But in terms of where is the custody of said recordings, we just don't know right now. I mean, listen, the funny thing is that I would hope that, a network would somehow find these recordings and actually put them on the air.
The whistleblower at the FBI might have heard them. We don't know that. He might have heard them. If he did, they can subpoena him. I only know this much, that the FBI will not help. They will not give up information because they're in bed with just one party, and that's Joe Biden's party.
They think this actually seems to happen all the time in our political system where miraculously audio recordings are given to a reporter and then they're on the air. Hopefully they're recovered and sent forward. But I truly believe with or without those recordings, we have more than enough information, not only to start an impeachment inquiry, but when we get the additional information that frankly will just fill in the gaps on all that we know, I think that'll give the House the ability to bring articles of impeachment against Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be voted on. We already have enough evidence to bring the articles of impeachment against Joe Biden. This is going to be a done deal. You'll always want a vote. If you can get the votes, that would be better to get some Democrats on board. And remember, if the Democrat Party is ready to throw Joe under the bus, a few Democrats where their elections are not vulnerable may go along with the Republicans and do the deed and still blame it on the Republicans. So they get rid of their Sleepy Joe corrupt candidate. They can fly in someone brand new. They can get their Michelle Obama, Gavin Newsom in there, and they can go Biden. Who Joe Biden? He's old. He gone.
One last one, Byron Donalds. There's a report out the White House is sending a letter urging news outlets to, quote, ramp up scrutiny of the Biden impeachment inquiry. Sounds like they're trying to affect free speech here. We've seen this movie before. Here they go again. They're trying to threaten the news outlets. Fox got a notice, too. I haven't heard anything about it.
They are coming after media. The government, the one party, Democrat Party, Joe Biden government is going after media saying, get in line, everyone. Make sure that you scrutinize the Trump side that is attacking the president. This is unprecedented.
I mean, look, Larry, like you said, we've seen this before. This is the same White House that suppressed free speech of the American people with respect to COVID-19. This is the same White House that tried to create a department of disinformation with some knucklehead lady who believed all kind of crazy conspiracy theories. This is the same White House that has no respect for freedom of the press.
They deserve this reputation. Byron Donalds is bringing up just a giant fact sheet of all the times that this administration has gone against the media. This is totalitarianism. This is Big Brother. This is 1984 in the Biden administration. Democrats do not believe in a First Amendment free speech right, by the way.
No respect for the National Press Corps because they can't even materialize the President of the United States for an extended inquiry by the press. They take 5 questions and then they play elevator music so he can go take his nap. So listen, this is par for the course from this White House. They want to intimidate journalists in our country. They want to basically run around the First Amendment and ignore it to protect Joe Biden and his family because they have engaged in public corruption.
Like I said at the very beginning of this whole video, he started with an email to me or to people looking for money. Here's what's interesting. This is, I don't remember earlier, but a couple other videos ago, we talked about the bankyourvote.com, which Trump endorsed and Ronna McDaniel of the RNC endorsed. And here's Byron Donalds. These are crunchy, far right, right wing, MAGA, super MAGA candidates. And this is what he wrote in the email. Patriot, my name is Byron Donalds, and I was just selected by Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel to help lead the GOP effort to ballot harvest and sweep the next election. Let this sink in, guys. This is what we're doing with the election. Here's the bullet points. I'm just going to go down this list of what Byron Donalds is in charge of doing. Launch our first ever nationwide ballot harvesting operation to bank GOP votes. Activate our voters through neighbor-to-neighbor connections. That's something all of us can do. Expand GOP access to early voting locations across the country. Invest in an 80,000-person team to protect your vote. That is to oversee corruption at the actual ballot box and drop-off boxes. Expand traditional media efforts into new platforms to reach young voters. That means they're going to be buying ad space into YouTube, into TikTok, into all of these ways to reach youth, and fight bad ballot harvesting laws while making sure it's easy to vote, but hard to cheat. That's what Byron Donalds is doing right now for Ronna McDaniel and the Trump administration. Onward, Byron Donalds, congressman and co-chairman of, quote unquote, Bank Your Vote. Byron Donalds is part of the early vote harvesting that Trump supports. By the way, make sure that you bank your vote, because if you do, that means the Republican Party spends less resources on finding you and getting you your vote. And that's important. That's money that goes to someone else to get a new vote to vote for Trump. That's what we need to do, is protect these resources. So we're all going to vote early. Get your vote in early. And then they won't have to spend their money on us on election day to have us clog up lines, get our ballots and all that, and stress the volunteers. I want all of our vote in early. They'll probably allow us to start voting 1 month early, and that's what I'm going to do for the first time in my life, guys. That's how much I believe in it. I'm going to mail in my vote. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about Byron Donalds. Do you trust him? Is he doing a good job? Is he bringing good information about impeaching Joe Biden? I'm Doug in Exile.